Okay, let's dive into a pretty wild idea, one that connects the very code of creation with the code that's running on our computers right now. We're going to look at a framework that sees reality not as a bunch of things, but as this massive, living informational system. It's an ancient idea, but it's finding this incredible new life in our digital world.
I mean, just think about that for a second. What if everything you see, everything you are, is actually operating on some kind of divine software? It's a huge proposal, right? But it's one that could totally reframe how we understand creation, consciousness, and our own place in the cosmos. So let's go ahead and explore that code.
So the main metaphor here is reality as an operating system. But, forget about some cold mechanical machine. I want you to picture a dynamic, intelligent system that is constantly speaking, vibrating, and literally computing itself into being. This framework boils down to a fundamental trinity for existence itself. The whole theory suggests that before the Big Bang, before even the first particle existed, there was this sequence: first word, then wave, and then code. And this isn't just supposed to be poetry. It's presented as the actual foundational process that builds our reality from the ground up. All right, let's start with that first element, the word. You might have heard this before. In ancient Greek philosophy and theology, they called it the logos. And in this system, it's the absolute starting point for everything else. So, the word isn't just a sound someone speaks. Think of it more like the universe's source code, its divine grammar, or the architectural blueprint for everything. It's that deep underlying logic that gives reality its structure and its meaning, the very thing that keeps it from just being random, pointless chaos. And get this concept even reframes how we think about ethics. In this view, a moral teaching like the Sermon on the Mount isn't just a list of rules to follow. No, it's actually an incredibly efficient piece of code, a compression algorithm, if you will, designed to generate compassion, harmony, and what this theory calls coherence inside the human system. Okay, so if the word is the blueprint, what gives it all motion and life? Well, that brings us to the second element in our trinity, the wave. This is where we get into the realm of pure potential. The wave is kind of like the quantum field, before it collapses and settles on just one outcome. It's the divine breath, the Ruach in Hebrew, that holds all possibilities at once in this vibrant creative tension. And this gives some big spiritual concepts a fascinating new look. Grace, in this model, becomes the act of holding that wave of potential open, of refusing to collapse it into a single fixed state. Judgment, on the other hand, is the act of measuring too soon. It's defining a system or even a person before they've had a chance to find their own harmony. Okay, so we've got the blueprint and we've got the field of potential. The final piece of the puzzle is the code, which is basically the set of rules that governs how this whole system actually runs. You can think of the code as the algorithm of reality. It's the logic that allows patterns to repeat themselves, for systems to self-correct, and for information to express itself through things like our DNA, our neural pathways, and even our own moral choices. Now, check out this analogy. When a system goes wrong, when we introduce some kind of dissonance or sin, forgiveness isn't just some emotional release. In this model, it's a functional command. It's the process of literally debugging the soul's code, resetting the waveform, and allowing a new, healthier coherence to emerge. So here's the really crucial point. These three elements, the word, the wave, and the code, they aren't separate things at all. They're all working together in this dynamic, continuous loop. This table ties it all together so well. You can see how the word, the divine logos, translates into our human search for moral grammar, for truth. And then the wave, that divine breath of Ruach, that's what we experience as emotion, as a rhythm, even as prayer. And finally, the code, the divine algorithm, that's what's powering our own intentions, our patterns, and our amazing capacity to repair what's broken. And what this creates is a perpetual cosmic loop. The word gives rise to the wave then expresses itself through the code, and the code, in turn, restores and reaffirms the original word. It's this constant recursive cycle that the source material calls the very heartbeat of the cosmos. Okay, so that all sounds pretty abstract, right? How does this model actually apply to our daily lives? Well, this is where it gets really personal, because it translates into this profound new way of understanding connection, ethics, and even the physics of love itself. And here's the big leap. The theory actually suggests that the mysterious phenomenon of quantum entanglement, that spooky action at a distance, is simply the modern scientific term for what ancient theologians called the logos. The fact that two particles can be connected, mirroring each other instantly across vast distances, well, that's presented as physical proof that our universe is fundamentally interconnected, that separation is and always was an illusion. So if we are all part of this one interconnected field, our actions suddenly have cosmic weight. Sin isn't just a personal mistake. It's an act that introduces noise and dissonance into the entire field. Justice becomes the work of restoring that harmony. Grace is the algorithm that allows for that repair. And love is the fundamental force pulling everything back towards coherence.
So in the end, this model suggests that every act of mercy or compassion isn't just some fleeting gesture. It's an act of reprogramming the entire field, a permanent, powerful contribution to the coherence of the cosmos. And that leaves us with this incredible final thought. In a universe that is literally made of information, maybe no act of love is ever truly lost.